All right, coming to you via the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. He is our guy, our Sacramento Kings beat writer. He's our insider. He is what they call here on the afternoon show the Kings cowboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I always like when another Frankie joins, okay? I'm a Frank myself.
Yeah, no, we got a double dose of Franks today.
There's so much.
That's right.
Frankie Cartoscelli joined us from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Frankie, how are you, sir?
I'm good, guys. You know, it's not too hot. I stepped out for a little bit and did some yard work on my break, and you know, the yard's coming in. It looks good. It's on 108, so that's coming this weekend, I think.
I didn't know you had a green thumb.
I grew up doing yards. Yeah, I grew up doing yards. That's like my kind of a therapeutic, you know, on days like today when it's not too hot and I have some time, I like to go out and try to kind of bring along this yard that's not where it needs to be, but we're going to get there. But I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Frankie, this is so funny you mentioned that because I literally have one of the questions here for you. I write down my questions just in case, you know, I go absolutely AWOL or something. I was going to ask you, what do you do? What do Kings writers do during the offseason right now? Like, what are the hobbies that you do? So you have a green thumb for one. Is there anything else that you got going on the side, just, you know, in the offseason right now?
You know, I mean, a lot of baseball. Like we're doing some Giants coverage for the site right now.
Love it.
And then obviously in my free time, I'm really getting into MLB The Show right now. Like I'm a big MLB The Show guy. So I never really played like the Diamond Dynasty part of it. I would just play online when I was like in college, but I'm really kind of getting into it right now. So it's a little bit of an obsession, but I'm okay with it, especially right now because I know during the season things get tough. So I won't have much time for that then.
All right, last non-Kings question for me. I revealed that my gamer tag name was F Pleaser. What is your gamer tag name so people can maybe face you on MLB The Show?
Maybe you guys could face each other.
Yeah,
we could. Yeah, we could. It's Frank the _tank 33. And I definitely made that when I was in college in Chico. So that was one that I made up. You know, probably a late night. I threw that in there. So
that rules.
Frankie, obviously we have you on today because of the breaking news yesterday. The Kings have maybe found the 15th guy for the roster, and they didn't have to look too far. Neemias Queta signing a standard NBA contract yesterday. Frankie, to the best of your knowledge, is this a guaranteed deal or is this a partial guarantee? I don't know. I didn't see any of those details. Have you got any insight on that?
Yeah, so my good buddy Ricardo Brito Reyes, who does a good job over there in Portugal, he broadcasts NBA games over there. He has all the inside scoops on the Neemias stuff. Obviously, it is a non-guaranteed training camp deal. So this is another kind of, in my opinion, it's an intriguing addition to what already is going to be an interesting training camp because now you have two players, Nerlens Noel, a veteran, a proven player who has been a good rotation guy in previous years. Obviously, a lot of injury problems, but he's also on a non-guaranteed deal. He only has $300,000, but $300,000 out of $3 million is guaranteed. So what I'm looking at now is you have three centers: Alex Len, Neemias Queta, and Nerlens Noel. They're going to be battling for that backup center spot. I mean, assuming that they go traditional with the backup big. I know the Trey Lyles edition, he played backup 5 in the playoffs. Do the Kings go into the season with that being their game plan? I would think they probably will have a traditional big as their backup center at more times than not. But yeah, it's a non-guaranteed deal. And I'm looking at Noel versus Queta for one of those roster spots right now.
Yeah, because it's particularly interesting. I would be, and if you count Trey Lyles as a backup 5, which I do, I mean, theoretically that's 5 centers. There's no way that you're carrying 5 centers, in my opinion, on the roster come opening night. But when you look at Queta, Lynn, and Noel, from your opinion, which is the most intriguing of the three as a guy that can actually see minutes on the court this year?
You know, I think with Alex Len, the move to bring him back for the veteran minimum, I think that was a good deal. So I'll start with him. Just say that I think the stability with having a guy deep in the bench that can come out and he did prove himself, I think, down the final stretch of the year that he can be a rebounder. He can be a hard screener. He's physical. That can be someone that the Kings can obviously use when they need him. But I think that when you look at the rim protection aspect, Queta, we've seen what he can do in the G League. He was runner-up for G League MVP last year. He was all defensive first team. I think he averaged almost 2 blocks per game. And the Kings obviously are not a team that has much rim protection. Keegan Murray was the Kings' leading shot blocker last year at half a block per game. Kings were dead last almost. I think they're 29th in blocks per game. So Noel and Queta both kind of bring that upside. I think Queta has more upside because he's younger. He's a little more athletic. He doesn't have the injury history. Obviously, the times where Queta was put in the rotation in previous seasons. Not great matchups. They put him against Nikola Jokic one night, and that was really tough. They put him up against Joel Embiid last year when he was in the midst of his MVP season.
Welcome to the league, kid.
It's tough. Yeah, there was no gradual kind of, hey, let's kind of get him in against a team that's shorthanded or a team that, no, they threw him out there against the best of the best, and obviously he struggled. But I think that the Kings are high on him. It just comes down to how does Nerlens Noel look coming in the training camp? If he's anywhere near his New York Knicks production level, I mean, the Kings obviously could use a player like that. So got to get out there and roll the ball out and see what happens. But there's two intriguing options, and for a Kings team that needs rim protection, they really do need to add someone that can protect that rim.
So, Frankie, do you think they can develop to actually defend those guys like a Jokic and an Embiid? Just because that was going to be my follow-up question. That's obviously the biggest question mark in the NBA for a lot of teams right now. But can you see a future where these guys come in and maybe can actually lock down somebody for a night in a big game?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now what the Kings need more than anything is just enough production out of their players, a step forward. Maybe not someone that can come out and be like a Rudy Gobert and his defensive player of the year kind of player. I don't think that's going to be likely, but someone that can just be a difference maker. Because right now the Kings were getting steamrolled in the paint. Kevon Looney obviously is very fresh in everyone's mind. He is not Nikola Jokic. He is not Joel Embiid, but he got whatever he wanted in the NBA playoffs. And that just can't happen. That was one of the Kings' Achilles heels last year, was that they were very weak in the inside. Not on the boards. Obviously, Domantas Sabonis was arguably the best rebounder in the league. I mean, the numbers say he was, and I think that he was as well. But it's just a different kind of game when you have to go up against some of those players that are very offensively gifted, like Jokic and Embiid. Karl Anthony Towns, when he's healthy, can someone go out there and stop him? I'm kind of looking at Sabonis too. I mean, I don't think he was a slouch on the defensive end. I think that he got some flack that was a little unnecessary for a lot of the year, and I think he kind of locked in towards the final months in March and April. But I think if you can get anything positive out of someone that can be a bench player, someone that you can kind of throw and plug those holes and say, okay, we're getting killed on the inside right now. Who can we throw out there? Okay, well then Neemias Queta had a great camp and he's playing well. Maybe he comes along, and only 24 years old. I think there's a lot of room for production and growth there. It's just a matter of the sense of urgency, and do the Kings kind of want to have someone that's more proven in that spot? So it's very interesting. The fact that I learned that it's a non-guaranteed deal kind of just makes me much more interested.
Our Sactown Sports Kings beat writer / insider Frankie Cartoscelli joining us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. You know, Frankie, it is kind of those dog days of summer from the NBA where we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel when you see free agent signings. Again, non-guaranteed deals happening for players right now. One thing that is intriguing me is this is the first year that we will now have 3 two-way deals. The Kings still have one available. Is there anybody that's kind of got your attention right now as a possibility for that third two-way deal?
You know, I think it's very interesting that Jordan Ford still hasn't. I think he was someone people thought would get maybe a full roster spot, but he was at a Stockton Kings event just a couple weeks ago, and I know that our buddy Joe was out there covering it, and I think that's interesting that they're having him go to events still, but nothing's been announced. Maybe they have a deal in place on a two-way, but he's someone that the Kings really should, in my opinion. I think he would be an ideal person for a two-way. Obviously, for a backup point guard or third string point guard, you maybe want to go more of a veteran kind of type of player. But Jordan Ford, to me, has shown a lot. I think he's someone that could be even maybe better than some of those guys that are out there, some names that are out there. So, because, I mean, look at it right now. The Kings have De'Aaron Fox. They have Davion Mitchell. And then Malik Monk is someone who can run the offense. But do you want to have him be your third string point guard on an opening night? I'm not sure. So, yeah, I think
Colby Jones. Do you think Colby Jones could be that guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot to expect out of a rookie out of the gates. He's someone I'm not really sure how he fits in the opening night rotation. He could be. I think that him and Chris Duarte could trade those minutes that were kind of Terrence Davis minutes last year. The Kings are deep. They're very deep. I think that their thinnest position right now, though, would be the backup point guard spot. They really need another guard in that mix. And Jordan Ford, I mean, he really showed something in Summer League. He kind of has that quick trigger and someone who can definitely distribute and very athletic, very quick. So I think he'd fit in well.
Frankie Cartoscelli joining us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Frankie, another guy that to me is intriguing, and I don't want to come across as a Kings fan that wants to see a win for the fans of a player that, we're happy to see him back. Harry Giles getting to work out with the Warriors here. I think that's either today or tomorrow. And, Harry is one of those rare players that is eligible for a two-way deal. Has that ship just kind of sailed? Because I mean, I looked at him in the Miami Pro League, man. He looks like he has his bounce back.
Yeah, he could be the one that got away at some point. I think that Kings fans were, and I mean myself included, when I think in 2017 I was actually working for the team at that point, but I was just very excited because I'd seen his high school stuff, and obviously I watched a lot of Duke back when well, I won't name the player that was playing there, but there was a player that used to play there that was getting a lot of attention back in 2017, 18.
Yeah. Does it rhyme with Barvin Magley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I have his Pistons card actually. True story.
Wow, I wonder what that's gonna go for. But as
much as your and my card goes for.
Hey man, you never know. But obviously he was someone that was playing through a lot of injuries, and I think to answer your question, yeah, I think the ship has sailed. But that doesn't mean that the ship has sailed for him and making a career for himself. I think that the fact that there are people knocking on that door, and he's working out for teams like Brooklyn. I think he worked out for the Knicks already. He's going to be in Golden State today or tomorrow. That speaks, volumes to the fact that I think people and scouts are liking what they see. And I hope he can make a comeback. It was cool seeing him courtside for Game 7 with Rashay Fox. That was really cool to see that he still has that spot in his heart for Sacramento. He's been very outspoken on social media, how the city of Sacramento will always mean a lot to him. I just think the Kings right now, by bringing in Queta and Noel, they've kind of already signaled that ship has sailed.
Frankie Cartoscelli, you can read all of his stuff at sactownsports.com. Also, you can catch him on the Return of the Roar podcast with Chris Watkins. When's your next available episode for that coming up, Frankie?
Chris and I are going to record on Monday, and we're going to dive into the Pacific Division, and we're going to kind of just, dive into what teams did, what the Lakers did, Clippers, the Suns. They might have done a couple things, but yeah, we're going to do those breakdowns on Monday.
There you go. Check out Return of the Roar on Monday with our Kings Cowboy, Frankie Cartoscelli. Frankie, it is always a pleasure to get you on anytime I can get a chance. Thank you for joining us today, my guy.
Frank. I'm quite Frank. I need more Franks around. Good talking to you guys, man.
This is good, man. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, guys.
All right.